Hi, it's Chelsea from bingeeatingbreakthrough.com. And I wanted to share with you one of the tips that really became, I think, one of my more favorite tips as I was overcoming my binge eating. And that tip was the tip of eating my favorite bite first. So what I started doing was, as I became conscious of wanting to transform my behavior around food, is I started to really realize, okay, I'm totally frustrated, I'm stuck, I've been years with this habit that I hate. And also in turn hate myself as I continue to behave in this way towards food. I knew that I had to find something that would really work, that I could actually stick to, that also wouldn't leave me feeling like completely deprived, like I had to eat a certain way forever and I had to only eat carrots for the rest of my life or something, right? Like I had to find something that was workable with who I am, so that I felt like I was, getting nourished, I was getting fulfilled, and I was getting satisfied in the ways that food satisfied me. Whether it was comforting me or keeping me from boredom or helping me with stress, whatever it was that food was doing for me, I needed to make sure I wasn't completely robbing myself of that if I was going to replace my binge eating habits with something else. So what I started with was my favorite tip, like I said, and that was to fill my plate with, like if I was, say, at a restaurant or at a place where there was food available, I would put the types of food on my plate that I really wanted the most. So, for instance, if I was at an all-you-could-eat buffet or something, I live in the country and we have a lot of these places around here, and they used to be completely demoralizing for me because I just would so overeat. And what I started doing was I would walk in and get one plate and say, okay, I'm going to get the one or two things on this entire buffet of food that really I just want so bad. Even if I'm starting off with dessert and that's all I have is just dessert, I'm going to get that because it's the one food that I want. I'm going to allow myself to have the two of the very, very best things I can see here as what I'm going to on my plate, right? So I would get my plate full of just those two kinds of foods and a reasonable amount. And then when they're on my plate, I would sit down and then have the one or two amazing best bites. So for instance, if I picked up a piece of pie, let's say, and I had that on my plate, then I might look at that pie and say, well, what's the best bite on that pie? And I'd be like, oh, it's probably the middle, where the gooey chocolate is or something. So I would eat that part and then leave the rest and be like, okay, I got the best of that. I don't need the other stuff because it's not as good as the best. So I was really getting like the best of the best each time I ate. And that had me feeling like, wow, like I'm getting like the best of the best. I'm not being deprived. And the rest that I'm leaving behind, well, it's not as good as what I just had. So that's okay. It's easier to leave it behind if it's not the best, right? So it really started to have me feel like I was being treated and not deprived, and also have a way of being able to really control, because I'd be like, okay, I walked into that, cafe and I looked at the whole glass, the presentation of all the food behind the glass in this bakery. I picked the one piece of cake that looked the most decadent, and I had the top icing off of it because the icing's what I really love. And I left the rest, and I walked out of that cafe feeling like $100, or I mean not $100, more like $1 million. But the fact that you're allowing yourself to eat the very best thing, or the thing that you really want the most, has a great way of helping you feel treated, and yet you still can control yourself easier because you had the best. So what you're leaving behind isn't nearly as good as what you just had. Does that make sense? So that was one of the tips that really worked for me. I have more tips like this, and I have an entire free course on my website at bingeeatingbreakthrough.com where you can check out some of the other strategies that have worked for me. And also you can find my ebook, Binge Eating Breakthrough, to see the full process of what's worked for me. I look forward to hearing from you. If you have anything to share around this, please leave a comment below, and I'll see you next time.